Bro, what a day.
What a Tuesday.
I mean, week 7's getting here. We get 2 wide receiver trades. Drake Maye's going in, throwing touchdowns. Injuries like across the league. What a day. On
and
a long
the kids
weekend.
cooked on picks.
Yeah.
9-3, 13-1. I'm sorry, 11-3, 13-1.
What a week.
I mean, dude.
Hey.
Took care of business.
We're continuing that streak for a month, baby. You guys got to get with the picks.
Let's go. Now we're getting
with the
it.
picks.
Now we're really getting
For
it.
real. I mean, there's a lot to digest. I'll start with the injuries. I want to hear your thoughts on Maye. I know you have a quick little update that you want to get to us. We'll get to the bets. The bye weeks this week are the Bears and the Cowboys. Do not expect those guys in the rankings. Not too many Broncos and Saints in the fantasy rankings anyway. A lot of injury news around Kamara and Olave. Not sure like what's going to happen with those guys on Thursday. But don't expect those guys in my rankings, and I don't know how many of them would be in yours regardless.
It's just one.
And Kamara.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only one. And that's a fingers crossed, I guess so.
But MHJ, concussion. Olave, concussion. Ford with a hammy. Hutch, that was gross. Twan hasn't seen it yet.
I won't.
Don't watch it.
I can't.
Surtain, concussion. ETN, all done with ETN.
Done.
My hand, look, I'm demoting him. I'm playing Bucky Irving over this dude from here on out until I'm proven otherwise.
Bro, Bucky Irving's fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great football player. He is actually the running back of the future for Tampa Bay. Bro.
I know. I'm a white owner in my big league, and I'm like just really hoping that that's not the case. So I'm like,
Right.
Like I know.
He'll get action. I think they can be a 2-committee team. Like, that's what the NFL is. But with the way Baker likes to throw the ball, like...
I know. But last year, like, I kind of felt like that was Rashad White's forte was catching the ball.
Yep.
And now it's just like, well, it seems like Bucky has, like, a very solidified role there. But Shaheed banged up, Goddard banged up, and Tajay Spears banged up. So, like, the injuries keep piling on and continuing. And, like, we were literally sitting here on Sunday and... just watching the injuries, and it's just like, how is this still like going on? Like, it really is hard to overcome. Waiver wire guys, I have 3 of them really quickly. Romeo Dobbs, especially with Dontavian Wicks being banged up too. Dobbs needs to be owned. I know Jaden Reed already has a questionable tag. Make sure you get him in your lineup. Had him to score a touchdown last week, and I think like that's going to continue. Evan Ingram, target machine, and that kind of picked up where he was last year. So he's probably the only player on the Jags. Him, Brian Thomas, and Christian Kirk on the flex. I think Brian Thomas might get locked down by Gonzo, so Kirk might be like a good play this week. I'm playing Kirk. But Cole Kmet, too. Welcome to the tight end club.
But the thing is with Brian Thomas is like, I didn't put him in here because like I do refrain from putting like wide receivers against the Patriots because I know what they can do. But
Yeah.
Gonzo kind of got cooked by like Stephon Diggs a couple of times like last week. So
It's going to
I
happen.
get it. It's Stephon Diggs. It's going to happen. You can't lock him down always, but that does, hurt a little bit to see. But
I mean, Mixon had a better day.
Mixon
So like I would
balled.
say that their pass game was a little neutralized.
Joe Mixon's a stud, dude.
Yeah.
He's legit a stud.
Thoughts on Drake Maye?
I'm encouraged with what I've seen. I really am nervous for the guy. Like, we thought he broke his arm.
Yeah.
Like, right off the bat, dude. I'm like, all right, throws a beautiful touchdown. Next drive, he goes out there, gets hit, and his arm almost gets stuck. And I'm like, dude, this is why, like, Brissett's out there to, like, just get crushed this year.
Yeah.
I like Drake Maye getting experience. I don't know if the Texans were the right team, but from what I saw, Drake Maye is the quarterback of the future.
Yeah.
And I think he has the talent to start to elevate this team as years continue to go on. I think he is as far as the rookie quarterbacks go, he looks like a better thrower of the football than most of the guys.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that above like Caleb and Jaden at this point. But
It's hard to say that about that, but dude, I'm very encouraged
the
with what I've
long
seen.
ball looked great. Like I was talking to some Patriots fans this morning, obviously here.
I like the decision making too. Like, I don't think he's doing a lot of the things that we've seen rookies do. Maybe holding onto the ball a touch too long, just knowing that you have the offensive line that you do, but I'm encouraged with what I've seen from Drake Maye.
I think this Sunday is a better sample size. I know the traveling is a lot, like for that London trip and stuff. But I do think like more of like an equal playing field. Like they shouldn't be playing from behind by 20 points for a half, or things like that. But I mean, all things considered, the Patriots are still likely going to have a top 5 pick. So in your scenario right now, you taking a specialist, you taking an offensive lineman, you taking a defender, or you trading back and still addressing one of those positions?
It depends what pick. I would imagine that the first 2 picks are going to be along the Shedeur Sanders route, along the Ewers. Yeah, so those guys. You can also have Beck and who's the guy for Oregon? What's his name again? Dylan?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come out yet. Gabriel. I don't think he's going to come out yet.
No, not yet. I mean, maybe he doesn't. If Oregon
There's a lot of good wide receivers. Like, I know Mizzou has a sick Routry or something like that.
Yeah, there's some super talented players, but I think if the Patriots have like one of those picks where it should be a quarterback, I think they'll trade back. It has to be an offensive lineman, dude. You need the best offensive lineman in this draft. And if you have the number 1 or 2 pick where you know it's going to be a quarterback, you trade back, you get to the 5-6 spot, hopefully, and then you get a 3
before 15. Anywhere before 15, they can pick
it 100%.
But they can't pick after that.
You can't. You really can't. And like I don't think Mayo's like a bad coach, but I do look and like I make fun of fucking Mike McCarthy for it all the time. Like I think Mayo's a yes man to the crafts, dude. And I don't like to see that out of my coach. It's just I don't know. Maybe I'm just not used to the change from it being Bill to go like, fuck you, Robert, to Gerard Mayo. Like just yes sir.
No,
yes,
I got you.
So,
but I know you had a story, and then I want to talk about the trade news. So,
my buddy Zach, big Giants fan, going crazy, texting the group. My team's built to win the league. I'm built to win it. He's projected like 160, and then his team cools down. He has Diggs who went off early. He had Derrick Henry who went off early. He had AJ Brown who had his touchdown. And his team was looking good. He's projected to get 150, and this was going to be another one of those weeks where, well, I'm about to drop another 130 and lose. So. Yeah. But all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, I'm down 17.5 points, and I got James Cook in the lineup, and I go, dude, I think James Cook can get this. Notification comes out, James Cook out for the week.
Yo, Ray Davis saved the day.
Ray Davis is on the waiver wire, and I go searching. I go, where's Ty Johnson?
Yeah.
Where the fuck's Ty Johnson?
Owned.
My buddy Mendy owns him. I go, fuck it, the only guy I can play is Ray Davis.
Who'd you drop?
Let's just do it. Zamir White.
Okay. Oh, good. All day.
Easy. All day. Easy. I like to keep a guy on my bench that I know I can dump, that I don't feel bad about when I see someone I like on the roster. Fuck you, Zamir White. And Ray Davis pulls it through, dude. He pulls it through, and he pulls it through in the last second, so I get on my phone right at the end of the game.
I knew it.
Twitter fingers turning to trigger.
Right when he caught the 50-yard bomb,
Dude, I'm literally sitting there, I'm like, I can't say it till the end of the game because he's going to fumble, and I'm going to fucking lose by like 0.5 points. But he pulled it through, man. Fuck you, Zach. Let's go.
Oh, man.
Fired up. That brings me to 3-3. I've been the most points for the entire season, and now I'm 3-3. I'm so happy. Cruising through, should make it to the playoffs, no problem.
Love it. Congratulations to him. About time. All right, we got 2 big trades. We obviously mentioned at the beginning of the episode. The day started crazy. Davantae Adams actually came on the Aaron Rodgers segment of Pat McAfee and said that like this trade went down at midnight last night, and he hopped right on a plane, came over to New York today. So I do kind of love that. I mean, this is kind of what we all expected, I would assume, like to happen. I mean, obviously Pittsburgh was connected because that offense needs some help, and it's really weird that Russell's going in there to be the quarterback. Just saying.
I don't get, like, they're winning games. Yeah. I don't get
We can talk about it later. And then obviously the Saints, like I mentioned, with the Derek Carr injury, I just didn't really think that they were, going to be a legitimate contender. If Carr was going to be out another 3 weeks, Davantae Adams is back right now, and then he's playing for a 2-4 team. It's just like kind of what's the point of leaving Vegas? Like, I think he'd rather be in Vegas than New Orleans. But then, the Bills were in that conversation. I didn't think that they were a favorite by any means, so like that's why I had to question Kev like a couple of times like about the move. And then Amari Cooper up and goes, and I'm sure he was like frustrated, but he's not, like you elaborated on, he's not like the most like outspoken dude. Like he's not going to be breaking down a locker room or anything like that. Like he's growing a lot from like his Raider days. A lot of Raiders going down. Right?
I know. No one stays in Vegas, dude.
Yeah,
it gets dicey out there.
But we saw like from Buffalo's offense the past couple weeks that I don't want to say it was like a little stagnant, but it's just, hey, like Josh Allen still does kind of need like that go-to guy when it's like, hey, everyone's covered, but like I know this guy has one-on-one coverage. Shakir's good in like the short and intermediate game, but like if you really want to stretch the field or like have that route runner, I mean, there's a large difference from Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, and Amari Cooper. Like,
it's also after the catch too. Like those guys are great, but after the catch, Amari Cooper is on another level, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Curtis Samuel looked pretty good last night after the catch. I mean, Matt Collins isn't running far like with his cleats on. I know he likes to run barefoot.
Possession receiver. Yeah, literally a possession receiver.
I mean, but no, realistically, he's a third or fourth guy. Like, he's not a 1 or a 2. And
100%.
I mean, he was running routes as such. And, like, I know, like, the goal is that Keon Coleman is going to grow in that offense, and, like, eventually it'll be him. But I think there's a lot of benefits to, like, inserting, you know, a guy like Amari Cooper in there. And, I mean, I think at this point in time, after this week, we can write off the Brown season because the Browns are going to beat the Bengals this week. 2-6 since 2020, 10-10 since 2014, Bengals versus the Browns. Just trying to help you guys win some money. Take the 5.5 points, and it's probably going to be more by the time Sunday comes around. So.
Listen, I bet on Jamar Chase to score every week, so I don't know if I can back that one just yet. But
Jamar Chase got locked down by the Giants last week. So.
I mean, he did all right, but like he did not cook. Like I expected him to go out there and put up, 150, 2 touchdowns.
I mean, none of them really cooked, though. If Joe Burrow doesn't score that rushing touchdown, that's a drastically different ballgame. It just makes me sick that it was on a 3rd and 18.
Bro, insane.
Yeah.
So insane.
I know. It was hard to stomach.
Dude, the Giants will just make games competitive, though. Like, they're not going to let you beat them, like, super, super easy.
I mean, it made me feel a lot better this morning when, every single week, like, all the sports platforms, they put out, like, the new top 10 for, like, the draft and everything like that, and the Giants actually weren't in it. And I'm like, hey, like, I know we're not, like, 25, but, I mean, it feels good. I want to pick in the top 10 for the talent that's there, but if you're not picking in the top 10, typically that means you're doing something right.
Right.
And we need to do more things right. And I get a lot of the conversation. Like, that Giants defense, if they have a different offense, like, if Kirk Cousins is the quarterback for the Giants right now, we probably win 4 games.
Yeah.
We beat the Vikings week 1, we beat Washington, and we already have 2 wins. So I'm like, that's a drastically different season. So, I mean, I'm not unpleased about the way Daniel Jones is playing. Like, I'd be a lot more unhappy, like, with Jalen Hurts if he was my quarterback right now.
Yeah, you're paying him a bag, too.
Or a couple other guys, like, around the league. Like, obviously, Daniel Jones isn't the savior, but I also think, like, it's easy to just say, like, it's him. I mean, nobody made, like, a special play on offense, but with the exception of Tracy, who actually looks really good for a 5th-round running back.
For sure. That's the thing. The Giants will just, like, kind of sneak these running backs in here and there, but what is, I got a question for you. What does Dexter Lawrence need to do to be Defensive Player of the Year?
Keep it up. Just keep it up. I mean, like, realistically, this season, Crosby, Garrett, and Hutch are all out. So I'm like, what are you competing against? Chris Jones?
Yeah. TJ.
Yeah, I mean, no. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was
the
wrong.
One. That's the one. I get it. But he's always the guy. So it's like Aaron Donald. Everyone's like, who's going to be depoy? Oh, yeah, dude. It's the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, I realistically think he could. I don't know if you saw, like, my story the other day, too. And just, like, those stats, like, there's a drastic difference in, like, for a New York market, like, he should be getting praised like that. And it's just, I get it. Everyone wants to talk about the bad news Giants, but, like no one's even talking about Kayvon Thibodeau going on the IR for 4 weeks because him and Burns are fucking killing it.
They're killing it, dude. Yeah. That's the thing is that front's really, really good. They got to tighten up that secondary, and that defense is top tier.
Honestly, I was pleased with the secondary. Like, the fact that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, neither of them had, over, I think it was over 80 receiving guys. Both of them, like, were kind of locked up, like, Drew Phillips, rookie. Tyler Nubin, rookie. Deontay Banks, 2nd year. Like, that's pretty freaking promising. Adoree Jackson, veteran and a player that we've had on the roster for the past 3 years. Like, that's encouraging. Like, that's where we want to be. But you guys aren't here to talk about the Giants. We're here to get with the fantasy rankings. I know I could do that all day, but you can't excite me about the depoy with
dude,
sexy
Deck.
I had to show Danielle saw the commercial of Dex with the chunky, and it's him with, like, the cut off Giant sweater, and he, like, rips off the sleeve. I'm like, Danielle, that's the jersey I need. That is sexy Dexy. And she was like, that's a massive human being. I'm like, I know. Imagine trying
that's
to block
our
him.
Massive human being.
Yeah. All right.
Tight ends.
Fantasy rankings, tight ends. This was a interesting list this week. New name on the list. 2 new names on the list. Not that they haven't been in it in prior years, but for this year, like to welcome Dalton Schultz to the mix.
Sure.
With Nico Collins out, I mean, his target share has absolutely grown exponentially. I love Green Bay in this matchup, if you want me to be honest. CJ Stroud, if he was home, I would feel a little bit different about it. But it kind of gives me that Lamar Jackson kind of effect, how Lamar is so good against NFC teams. I feel like CJ is that good versus AFC teams, but he has a problem with those NFC teams. Going into a hostile environment versus a quarterback that, I mean, is extremely volatile, but you could say he's just as good as CJ Stroud. I'm interested to see what happens. I think both of these coaches are going to try and control the clock, but this is going to be a really good game. I do have Green Bay, but Schultz is here, and let's get back to the tight end rank.
Is that your game of the week, though? Packers Texans?
It's definitely up there. I mean, I'm so pissed like the past 2 weeks or the past 3 or 4 weeks actually that we've already seen the Steelers and the Jets, and now we get to see them both in prime time on Sunday night. Like, that is horrible. I don't think that like the Monday night games are like that bad this week, and I like that it's like not 7:30 and 8:15. It's like 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Like we can get through a half of football and like actually watch, and then watch the second half of like the other games. So excited about that. 9 Kincaid, definitely expect him to be a little bit more involved in the offense. Like, I was a little discouraged about that, but I do have to think that teams had to be focusing on him as like a receiver. Now with Amari Cooper there, like things are going to get spread out. Like I think James Cook might be the biggest beneficiary for out of all this. I mean, obviously Josh Allen, but for fantasy points specifically, 8 Kyle Pitts going against Seattle. Seattle, I think, is going to win this game. I think so too. Yeah. It's tough. I hope Seattle comes back with a healthier roster, but I do think Pitts at home can make an impact in this one. I just don't see Seattle dropping, 4 straight?
3 straight.
Yeah. Can't happen. 7, Njoku. Njoku's first time on the list. This was before the trade news, but I actually feel that much better about Njoku getting in the end zone. Same thing with Judy. Judy's not on the list, but feel good about him. If he's on the waivers, like that's a guy that's going to at least see 6 targets a game. If he wasn't already, this is a team that's always going to be behind. I think Nick Chubb is going to smooth things out in that offense. Not sure if it's going to be this week with Ford out, but or questionable. I think he's going to be out. I popped my hammy Sunday at flag football in the last play of our doubleheader, and there's no way that this dude is going to be playing next Sunday because I'm not going to be playing next Sunday. So, Gomes, I'm sorry. Gomes texted me right after. He's like, Steve, you know you're playing Sunday if you're questionable, right? I'm like, absolutely. I don't want to miss, but I think I'm doubtful. I talked to Mike and Ben last night, and they're like, "Yeah, I think we need to shut you down for the playoffs." So,
God!
So we get some.
We're old, man. We're old men.
No, you have no idea.
We're literally older than 75% of this list.
These players on this list, absolutely
crazy.
And older than this dude right here, number 6 in the rankings, a little bit lower actually in the rankings. But this is where I have Brock Bowers going against the Rams.
How dare you?
Why? Do you have it drastically different?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I do like a matchup against the Rams, though. I think they do struggle with tight ends.
I just feel like there's so much catastrophe going on for the Raiders, and like I just don't know what's what. They don't have a ground game. They don't know who their quarterback is. They just traded their best player on offense. Their best player on defense isn't healthy. Their second best player on defense is on the IR. And other than that, I just don't know like what's going on. So like there's just not a lot of hope, and like it just makes me reflect back to the beginning of the season when I was asking you, Twan, why is the Raiders alternate win total at 3.5? I wish I just fucking hopped all over it. Not that I would have took it at 3.5, but if I did under 5.5, I think at this point in time in the season, I'd feel pretty damn good about that.
Yeah, I have over 6.5.
Yeah, so. It's crazy that one of those wins is against the Ravens too.
Yeah. That is a crazy fucking win. Oh, my God. To think about that, if the Ravens didn't below that game, they'd literally be Super Bowl like favorites by a long shot.
And not only that, but they would have been in the power rankings our first set.
Easily.
Yeah, the second set coming.
Biggest change, the Ravens. For both of us, it's going to be the Ravens, 100%.
KC, though, for me, I mean, I had them at 9. I had the Ravens at 11. I don't see Baltimore being 1, especially with the way some of the other teams are playing, but we're not going to elaborate too much.
I think now that Baltimore knows who they are, though, I think they go beat the Chiefs the next time they play.
Well, because their identity at the beginning of the season was like, hey, we're not going to run the ball 30 times with Derrick Henry, and then they see how good it works, and they're like, hey, take the ball.
Literally, dude. He is... I'm not going to spend... we'll talk about Derrick Henry when we get to Derrick Henry at the end of the episode, probably. 10, my game of the week that's not the Packers versus the Texans. It's the Lions versus the Vikings, and I got Sam Laporta here at 10. One. I got Laporta a little bit lower than a lot of people tend to have him. I I just don't know if he's going to be the guy that's going to be the Vikings killer. I think it's going to be a very big Gibbs game. I think Monty's going to get involved. Amon-Ra's due for a big one too, and I think Jameson Williams might break one.
He's just been so consistent, Jameson.
100%.
Yeah.
And he's the best stretch the field option for them. So
he might be one of the better stretch the field options in the league right now.
He is, and I'm so glad we're finally actually being able to see it because we had that lull for the year.
We were worried. Whoa. Yeah.
But dude, he's a talented guy. When they come out of Alabama like that, they always figure it out.
Not always.
Except for Jalen Waddle.
Judy.
Yeah, Judy. Oh,
Ruggs.
Judy. Yeah. Well, Ruggs believe me, Ruggs is flying. He can stretch the fucking highway.
Yeah.
But 9, I got Cade Otton. Dude, I'm very encouraged with what I see out of Cade Otton being a reliable option for Baker when there's no one else.
Yeah.
I think he can get in the end zone this week. And I think Baker just likes to throw the ball a lot, dude. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going, Baker, you're kind of cooking.
Bro, 51 points after being down. Crazy.
Insane. Big fan of Baker Mayfield, and Cade Otton's going to be a very big beneficiary of that. So he's at 9. I am thinking Goddard might play, but maybe he doesn't. I got him here at 8, though. No, in there due to injury.
Yeah.
If he does play, I do think he's actively involved. It is a hammy. I guess you do know. You do know quite well.
I'm telling you, there's no way.
I know, but they have the fucking magic potion where they stick you with some kind of fucking amphetamine, and you're like, go.
Yeah.
So I got Goddard at 8. I got Kelsey at 7. I just don't like the guy.
Yeah.
Let's be real. But he is a reliable option for that team. He could be higher, but Chiefs might struggle this week. They're 5-0. I think they're due for an L coming off a bye. We'll see. And at 6, I got Kyle Pitts. I just think Kirk Cousins likes to throw to him. I think they're going to be down for a significant portion of this game, and I think he's going to look for some of those options.
I just think Bijan's going to have a little bit more of a tougher time running the ball versus Seattle. I think they're going to be a little bit more healthy coming into this one.
I think they're going to try and throw, but I think that their stars, I think Drake London's going to have a tough game. Just a heads up from when we get to the receivers. I'm prefacing it now.
Wow.
I think he's going to be in for a tricky one. Even though he's projected the most points by ESPN Fantasy for wide receiver, I think he's going to struggle. I think there's going to be disbursement, and I think you might see this game where Ray's going to have a couple more catches and Mooney's going to get back involved.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say to you. So a line that I've been taking all season and winning with these two guys over 3.5 catches was Lazard, which I'm not gonna be doing that much more with Davantae Adams being inserted into the lineup and Garrett Wilson already getting a shit ton of targets. But Mooney's gonna be back on that. I switched it last week, took Ray. He was the last leg away from $1,100 on a 10 leg. So just missed on that one. I see all these Instagram bettors with these algorithms and shit. I'm like, buddy, I'm giving you the algorithm right now.
Just listen to us on the mic, buddy.
That's what I'm saying.
We're going to win this week 6 lay. I'm like, all right, let's see if this guy's actually won anything. I go to the comments. Thanks for the losers last week. Thanks for the losers. And it's every video. I'm like,
everyone's doing these bozo parlays now and all this shit too. Crazy.
Dude, it's so bad. But that's 5. Why we love our alternates.
Yeah. 5, Tucker Kraft versus Houston. If Wicks is going to be down, Reed's banged up, I expect Kraft and Dobbs to be big beneficiaries this week, and especially where they're going to have to score. I know Jacobs doesn't really get in the end zone like that. I still expect a consistent 90 rushing and receiving, so that's always a solid line if you could take it around 60, 70. 4, Travis Kelce going against San Francisco. I'm staying away from this game for everything except Brandon Ayuk because my assumption is McDuffie's going to follow around Debo, and I just don't think that their second corner is as good as Ayuk is at wide receiver.
You think he's going to follow Debo instead of Ayuk?
I think so, bro.
I do think Debo's the better option, but I don't think Debo goes down the field as much where, I don't think McDuffie's going to stay on the line. I think he's going to go with the guys that go out on the routes.
I get it. I do just think, too, a lot of this depends on Jordan Mason's health. And I don't have him in the rankings. I'm also assuming that he's not going to play.
I have him low to be safe on that, but I don't know because they had him on the sideline he was ready to go out last week, and it was a Thursday game, so they got extra rest.
Yeah, it was weird.
We'll see how it goes.
It was weird. 3, Evan Ingram going against New England in London. I do think he's gonna catch a shit ton of crumpets. Shit ton of balls. No, honestly, I think that's the matchup to pick on. If you're Jacksonville, I don't think that they're gonna run the ball effectively, and I don't think Brian Thomas is gonna have 100 yards. Mm-hmm. I think Ingram and I think Kirk are going to be the guys that are going to eat up the field. So take those guys in some lines. 2, I got McBride. I think McBride had a big yard game. I was waiting for him to get in the end zone. I think this is the game for him and James Conner. Obviously hoping the extra day for Marvin Harrison gets him on the field because there's a big drop-off between him and then like Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. So I don't think those guys are going to win you games, and I think that's a team that, like you just talked about before the show, maybe a second wide receiver that doesn't have, that maybe a Darius Slayton-esque wide receiver I think could fit in there well. And one, I have Kittle. There was 1 week earlier in the season I didn't have Kittle, and every single week, like he's been at the top of this. He's the most successful player in the red zone this season. He's averaging over 4.5 targets per game. So you should feel safe about that.
Bro, he's so good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy with how he's turned out. Because George Kittle's just such a likable guy, too.
He definitely is.
5, I got Kincaid. I think he's going to be very active, very involved. I don't know if we see Amari Cooper come on the field this week, but
not expecting it. If it is, it's not enough to generate a lot of fantasy points
100%.
Unless it's strictly red zone. And same thing with Davantae Adams. I don't have either of those guys in the rankings.
Totally agree. 5, I got Kincaid, like I said. 4, I got McBride, just talented guy. We're pretty similar in where we think he's going to be. Evan Ingram, I think he's going to have a big game, like you said. I think he is the matchup to exploit. What are you going to have, Tavai on him? I don't think Tavai can cover him. It's not Jabril Pepper, so maybe Duggar gets a couple of routes, but there are going to be times where Duggar's playing more zone, and he's going to play a little bit deeper to make sure no one's beating him downfield. Think that Evan Ingram's in for a big game. 2, I got Bowers. I just think as far as pure talent goes, like this guy is one of the best tight ends in the league. And at 1, the best tight end in the league right now is George Kittle.
Absolutely. Coming over to the quarterbacks. Want to get excited? You want to get excited? Drake May at 12, Swan.
Drake May not in the rankings because if I put him in there, he's getting hurt.
So there's still a couple of guys that I just left off because I did feel a little bit excited, and I think like there's going to be a big adaptation with him going over to London, but I think if there's any team you want to play in your second game, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. But I'd feel good about playing Cousins, Kyler, and Burrow. I don't have Burrow in the rankings, just outside, but
Burrow, okay.
I told you, I really think Cleveland's gonna give them one of those games. Look, this is an AFC North matchup that means everything for both of these teams pretty much, right? Like the Bengals can't afford to just drop a game for the rest of the season. Like the games that they lose, they have to be good games. And for the Browns, I mean, you're just playing for damn pride. I mean, you have to be playing for your roster spot right now and going into week 7. So it's like, I know guys like Myles Garrett are going to show up, but where the hell has Denzel Ward been?
Dude, it's so bad. And that's why I do think the Bengals are going to win, is because this isn't the same Browns team that has been locking up the Bengals. Denzel Ward's not covering right now.
No, I mean I get it, but would it really surprise you if that's what I'm saying?
It's NFL. It's any given Sunday, and a divisional game is the game to do that, and the Browns and the Bengals are stories told all the time.
For sure.
I'm going to go with the Bengals this week, but I am weird. It's not an easy game.
They're not winning by then I don't think they win by the spread if they do by any means.
Totally agree.
But May here at 12, I think he needs some help at wide receiver. Pop looked really good in what he should have been looking like for the past 2 years.
Yep.
And obviously, Polk is going to have a role there. That's solidified now, but Baker's not really involved in that offense.
No.
And that kind of sucks because you wasted a high pick on him.
I think he's kind of in the doghouse.
Think so?
Yeah, from the beginning of the season, I think he got, I don't know what it was, but I think he got in trouble with Gerard Mayo for saying something on Instagram or something like that.
Really?
He did something, and yeah.
Obviously, Booty caught a big touchdown, but I thought he was kind of
Remember last year when I was fucking on the Kayshawn Booty Wagon? Dude?
I know, my God.
Kayshawn Booty Wagon.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's your new fantasy team.
That is it. That literally is.
11, I have Mahomes. I don't know what to feel about this game. This is the game I feel most weary about going into the week. I mean, San Francisco could very much just beat the brakes off KC in this one. I really do feel that way. But when it comes down to it, Mahomes knows this team and how to beat them so well, and they've done it.
It's the ghost. It's this is their boogeyman.
Yeah,
it really is, and it's just
and without CMC and Mason, it just kind of makes it you know what I mean? But I don't think this is a 30-30 ball game because the Chiefs wouldn't win that. This is gonna be a 17-13 ugly as hell. Kareem Hunt, big game. Kyle Juszczyk take his over on like receiving yards, like that type of shit.
Yep. We love that Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, bro, it was 7.5 last week, and he got 4 targets. I'll take that all day,
dude.
long.
And he had 2 for negative yards.
Yeah,
and he still hit like 10 yards.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
absolutely. That's another one of the faves.
Yep.
10, the same game. I have Purdy. I just think he's going to have a lot more success passing the football. 9, this is where I have Sam Darnold, not high on the rankings. Going against Detroit, I think this is going to be a back and forth, not high scoring, 24-20 type of ball game. Both of these teams pride themselves on defense, and they've been statistically well. Big blow to like the Lions having to, replace their best player on that side of the ball. But what I will say is, even though he went down, Brian Branch looks like a top 5 safety in the league right now. Like no doubt.
Stud, dude.
Yeah.
And they need it in that secondary so bad.
Absolutely. So hopefully, those are all like things to kind of show like how they want to dial it up differently. Maybe, you blitz a little bit more and trust that guy to be in coverage, or maybe you blitz less and like you just let him kind of roam the field and let him do his thing. So that'll all get figured out by powers beyond my belief. This is just the fantasy rankings, and that's where Sam Darnold is. No Goff in the rankings.
Really?
No Goff in the rankings. 8, Baker going against Baltimore. Look, their offense has been too successful to not have him on the list. And I think if there's a way to beat Baltimore, it's in the air. I don't think that this team is going to rush for 50 rushing yards, Tampa, going against the Ravens. Their rushing defense is pretty stout. Travis Jones, UConn guy, playing pretty damn good football. And UConn cracked the top 10 in college football this week. What the hell is going on?
Know.
Bro, what is going on?
I don't understand. Penn State's 3, and they're like not that good.
Yeah. But this is the weirdest power rankings for the college. I know you guys are here for the fantasy rankings, but I mean, we have to keep track of that for all of our future studs. We want to get those spring chickens, boy.
Yep. Come on. We love our offseason.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely. But yeah, no, I think Baker could still pass the ball. I don't think like it's a 113 game for Godwin. I think Orton will have a big one.
Okay.
I think Evans will score a touchdown because he was on that Lattimore strap last week.
He was on that, dude. Literally,
bro, I told you.
Straight up.
I told you. 7. Before I pass it back over to you, Geno going against Atlanta. I think Geno gets right this week. 300 yards, DK in the end zone, JSN over 60. That's how I feel.
I'm encouraged by your Geno pick. Steve, at 12, I have Geno, and maybe it's
encouraged, but like, look, there's a big gap.
Listen,
6
bro,
to 12,
I think Seattle gets it done. I don't know that it's that pretty, and I really, really do fear the A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates secondary, so there could be a turnover or 2 in this game.
Well, Justin Simmons did leave with an injury, too.
He did, but Jesse Bates is that fucking guy.
They got 3 guys, though.
I know. Well, I know they got 3 guys, but like,
hey, Lockett has like kind of been eating.
I know. He does.
Like, for a third wide receiver to have 6 catches and 70 yards consistently.
We didn't talk about this, but like Twitter just went off on Thursday night because like Tyler Lockett always catches the ball and goes out of bounds.
Oh my god!
And he got tackled, and he like goes to the locker room. Everyone's like, "Oh, Tyler Lockett gets touched once, and he's in the fucking locker room."
I know. He dropped a touchdown.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Rumor has it he just had to take a shit, but. At 11, I have Jared Goff, and I have no Darnold in the rankings. I think it's Detroit's week, and I think Detroit's going to take the O.
Last week was Detroit's week, brother, versus Dallas.
Listen, anyone who plays Dallas, it's their week. So
Except the Pats.
I think Detroit's that team. Listen, Detroit took a big jump in the power rankings for me, and you'll see that next week. I think that they're going to look.
If they lose this, I bet you they won't, because the Vikings will take that spot.
No, the Vikings were above. The Vikings were 1 in my power rankings, dude. Crazy, but somehow.
Yeah.
I think Detroit's going to take it this week. I think Goff's going to look good. I think he's going to have a 18 for 24, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good week. Pat Mahomes, I have him here at 10. I'm right there with you. He's so hit or miss for me in this game, and I want San Fran to win. I'm hoping San Fran wins. But it's just like we said, he's the boogeyman for the San Francisco 49ers.
How can you pick against them right now?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
That's why I'm just staying away, because I feel like everyone's going to say the 49ers are going to beat them. And I'm just like, oh, here's Mahomes.
Here we go. Yeah. And I have a bet that the 49ers, this is me pissed drunk at Penn State. I had a bet the 49ers weren't going to make the playoffs.
No, you didn't. Oh, my God, guys.
Listen, they almost lost to Seattle. And if they lost to Seattle, that looked fucking good. But
are the 49ers back in the rankings?
Let's see how it looks this week. This week matters.
They're over Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Will. Because we just got your good side back.
Listen, if Justin Fields was still in, maybe I'd be thinking different, but we'll see. We'll see. We got to keep Will hanging out, all right?
Yeah.
9, I got Brock Purdy. I just think him and Mahomes are going to be interchangeable with each other at 9 and 10. Both are going to play a competitive football game. Jalen Hurts at 8. Dude, I'm like out. Like, I like Jalen Hurts as a guy. Just,
he's going against the Giants, though.
I know he's going against the Giants. That's why he's at 8. But, like, then again, so was Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow doesn't have fantasy points unless he rips off a 57-yard run for a touchdown.
Yeah, I do just kind of think, like, the Eagles and Cowboys have our number. I'm expecting Saquon to score a shit ton versus us,
dude,
bro.
I do think there's going to be, like, I don't think there any tush-push touchdowns are coming, man. I really don't. I think Dexter Lawrence is stuffing that. That's the guy.
But they're intentionally not going to do that, knowing that it's Saquon's return to MetLife.
Yeah, and that's why I think Saquon will do well. I think he's going to rush the ball a lot.
Saquon's 1, guys.
Listen,
I'm just letting you know that now.
Saquon's 2.
Oh, that's disrespect.
Listen, I was trying to help you out here. This is for you. I did it for you. And at 7, before I kick it back over to you, I do have Joe Burrow in there this week. I think a little bit differently about this Bengals game than you do.
Yeah, clearly. 6, this is where I have Josh Allen. Look, this is a game where he's going to seep down to the competition, and I really think, like, Tennessee kind of plays them pretty well. Like, I know that that's a shit bum team, but, like, it's an 8.5 point spread. It'll probably get to 10 at some point, but, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee covers that. Like, if you want me to be completely honest.
I don't hate that either.
Look, but, like, Buffalo could also beat them 50-10. So, like, there's 2 ways it's going to go. Like, Tennessee will beat them in, like, a 23-20 game, and their kicker might have 7 field goals, or they just get the absolute beats breaking up. The brakes beating off of them.
The beats breaking off. Nice. Tongue-twisted delight on since the sandbox over here.
My God. All right, next guy. 5, Hurts. Look, the month of October, statistically through A.J. Brown's career, he pisses. And I'm not saying he's going to piss versus the Giants because I think Saquon is going to have a career day versus us. Like, I really do. Look, and I know the Giants can do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, do you know how fired up this guy is going to be to play us? Especially after the past 2 weeks not scoring. Like, I'm literally going to take him to score 3 touchdowns on Sunday.
I don't think the Eagles are 100% to win this game.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I just think, like, Saquon's going to ball on us. Every time I pick the Giants to win, we lose. So, like, I'm just kind of, like, staying off of it.
It's almost too obvious for Saquon to go off like this, though. Now, I think he'll have a great day. I don't know about career day, man. I think I think this game means just as much to the New York Giants as an organization and Brian Daboll
100%.
as it does to Saquon.
100%, if not more. Because especially with the way Singletary and Tracy are playing. But well, that's why it'll be huge if we get Neighbors in Singletary back. Expecting to get them back this week.
Agree.
But I don't have Singletary in the rankings because I think Tracy has kind of made a role for himself in this offense. But look, I just think, like, there has to be intent for Saquon to touch the ball 25 times. And if he does that, even if he gets stuffed 18 times, I think those 7 times can result in a lot of big plays. I know it from him being on my team. Like, it's just the way it goes. So obviously not hoping that happens, but I think Smith and Brown are going to catch a shit ton of balls, especially with Goddard out. And they don't really have wide receivers after those guys. So, like, I mean, you could take them both for 60 receiving yards every single week. It's a pretty solid line in a parlay. 4 might be a little bit low. I'm sorry, Ant, but this is where I have Lamar Jackson at Tampa Bay. Monday Night Football, I still think the Ravens are going to handle business. Look, like, I know Tampa Bay's home, but, I mean, NFC team, we know what Lamar does, and I think especially after the way Tampa won and the way the Ravens game kind of went this week, like, I think it might be a little bit more time. I mean, we're talking about 4 in the fantasy rankings, so come on, guys.
Dude, but isn't it crazy that for Lamar Jackson, we're like 4?
4, and you have to defend yourself with your freaking
hold on,
life.
Everyone relax.
Yeah, like, hold on. Here's my Social Security.
He's not one every fucking week.
But I think he can rush the ball, and that could be a big impact in this one. I think Zay can have a huge day. But I don't think Derrick Henry is going to run all over the yard on these guys. Like, I really don't.
Yep.
3, I have Stroud going against Green Bay. I think he has to play this way for them to have a chance. And I think, like, it could be like a 34-33 ball game. I think Love does some crazy shit this week to just do enough to get it done. And these 2 quarterbacks going against each other for the next decade, look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to like Patriots fans or Colts fans, but I think it's going to be Brady Payton-esque. Like, I really do. Like, and that's what I miss about the league is like having guys like that every time they went up against, like I'm not going to put like a Flacco and Roethlisberger type of conversation because like it's nowhere near that. But I think where Stroud and Love are in their careers and where that's going to grow and the grasp that their teams will hold over their respective conferences, that's what it felt like when Brady and Peyton played. And there was just so much history because you knew how good those guys were going to be. That's how I feel about Stroud and Love.
I think those two guys will both finish all time better than every quarterback in the league right now except for Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's because Lamar Jackson is the MVPs.
It's really early to say that just because I would have said the same thing about Andrew Luck and like that was just like life coming in the way. So
that's true.
I'm not going to say any statements like that on air forever. So
I've been but I've been going crazy for CJ Stroud.
No, for sure. And two is where I have Love, and that means that of course one would have to be Jaden Daniels going against. They're gonna score a shit ton of points versus Carolina this week. Yeah, I mean, he's rookie of the year unless, like, God forbid, like, anything was to happen to him. Obviously, like, I want Malik to be in, like, the conversation. Like, I want Malik to be in the conversation all the way down to week 18. But, I mean, we know the way this goes, like, with the quarterback. And I put less money on Neighbors to win rookie of the year, but it paid more because of the odds. But Jaden Daniels, I mean, since April, I mean, If you've been listening to the podcast, like I've been saying this since then.
Yep.
I called the Commanders. I called Daniels. I feel so good about this guy. And, I mean, playing a team like Carolina, like I really think that they're going to beat them by like 40 points.
Dude, he's so good. I can't wait. 6, I got Baker Mayfield. Guys in the MVP conversation. Just saying it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's like the 5th option, but like he's hanging around there every week, dude. Yeah. He's doing what he's got to do, and he is throwing touchdown pass after touchdown pass. 5, I got CJ Stroud, and 4, I got Jordan Love. So those two games right above them, think they're very competitive. I think the reason CJ Stroud's lower, even though I do think Texans are going to take this game.
Wow. You want to place a friendly wager on this?
Yeah, we can do that. We did it all last year. Knuckles.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you want to wager? Do you want to do pizzas? You want to do money?
How about a parlay on the other guy?
Okay.
Done.
Oh, for how much?
25? Done.
Sounds good.
$25 parlay.
Sounds good. I'll be winning Monday night with that parlay.
See you there, brother. So, I think Joe Mixon's going to have a big game, and that's why I have CJ Stroud a little bit below Jordan Love, even though I do think the Texans pull this out. I think Jordan Love's also going to have one of these. Like, he's just going to have one of these drives where, like, oh, they're down 10 points. Okay, time to go throw a quick 75-yard touchdown to Jaden Reed. That was absolutely miraculous, and he'll have points from that. 3, got Josh Allen. I agree. I think it could be chippy against Tennessee, or they blow the doors off of them.
Those are the only two ways it's going to go.
I've gone super back and forth on this like crazy. I don't know. I'm going to hope for the best for that team over there. I think that they lost 2, and then they had a close game with the Jets out there, so I do think they have a little extra fire under them. I think Tennessee's just a team that you should beat up on.
You should. Calvin Ridley might get dealt for the way that's all going down.
Didn't we say that, though? There is no play. Like, Calvin Ridley doesn't make sense on that team. Like, it wasn't the signing that they needed.
Yeah. Then they signed 3 guys.
Yep. Fucking stupid organization. Anyway, Lou, I bet you're glad to hear that. 2, I got Lamar Jackson. Listen, I mean, this guy is just playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'm just going to put him here at 2. And then at 1, it's Jaden Daniels. I mean, this guy is playing at the best fantasy level.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the running backs. 20, Chase Brown broke off a big one against the Giants. Yep. I mean, that was kind of like the game sailor.
20, Chase Brown.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants get a fumble. It's a different game. You know what I mean? If he goes down and it's a 10-7 win instead of a 17-7 win. So, like, It was a good game. Like, obviously, like, I want us to win. Like, anytime the Giants get to play in prime time, like, I'm happy. I just get to watch, like, all facets of football. Obviously, like, if I had, like, Sunday Ticket or YouTube TV, like, I could watch them every single week. But I genuinely think that, like, the red zone gives you the best of, like, everything. And where we talk about everything that's going on in the league and obviously bets, fantasy, all this stuff, I still feel like every single Sunday that from 1 to 7, that's the best way for me to watch football. And then I got my games. Like I get like the Thursday night, the Sunday night, the Monday night. And I feel like I do really well, like picking on like just like those solo primetime games. But it's good to have like the chaos and the fun and like that capturing everything instead of like, oh, let me go check my phone to see what's going on. And it's just like, well, how does this dude have 50 points from 1 o'clock to 1:30? Like, you know what I mean? Like absolutely crazy.
Because Rashid Shaheed took two 75-yard touchdowns and returned one for a kick.
Right. Debut in the rankings this week, Madison. Look, there's no Zamir White, there's no Davantae Adams, there's no Jacoby Myers. Brock Bowers is definitely getting the ball, and like I just feel like with Trey Tucker being a 1, like he's not beating the other team's opposing number 1 corner. So I just feel like Madison's kind of gotten, an uptick in volume, and it hasn't looked like terrible. I mean, it's not the best, but like, I mean, you're playing him over a guy like Tajay Spears. Like, I know that's not saying much, but
if those are your options, you're struggling. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, he's definitely getting in the end zone a little bit more. 18, this is where I have James Cook. Like, this just kind of goes in with the injury, like the uncertainty, and the Tennessee matchup. Like, if they get Jeffrey Simmons back, like, I do feel like it's drastically different results on that defensive line. Right above him, this guy is in the fucking doghouse. I'm over it. Breece Hall, 17. Look, Braylon Allen got a couple of goal line carries or touches yesterday, I should say. But Breece Hall, like on that 50-yard scamper, like that's gonna go to the end zone, dude. Like you can't just keep running down the sidelines when you're 1-on-1. Just book it to the other pylon, buddy. Like it's not that hard. So, I mean, he's kind of driving me crazy, but it was a productive game. I mean, he had the most total scrimmage yards last night, even over Ray Davis with 169.
Yep.
So, like, that's encouraging, but, like, now this is going to be a pass-first offense. Like, yeah, maybe that makes the box a little bit less stacked, but it's been so disappointing to this point. It really has. 16, a disappointing week last week, but a pretty solid season, I guess I would say, out of James Conner. This is where I have him. Me and Twan were both banking on parlays with Conner to get in the end zone. That was my doing, so I apologize on that. I can take ownership, but I mean, one wrong out of the past 7 weeks. I think that's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
But look, I think, like, when you're going against the Chargers, they're not going to beat you by scoring 30 points. And the Cardinals haven't scored many points in their games either. So if this is like a 23-17 type of ball game, I do just think like that they have a little bit more talent. They're definitely not better coached. And I think JK is going to have a day. If MHJ is healthy, like he's going to have a day. But I do think that James Conner has to have like a impact and a role in this game for the Cardinals to like stay alive. Like right now, like they're fighting for survival. I mean, they're in the conversation with like the Giants, honestly, about like just trying to hang on by the skin of their teeth. The Giants' help is that like, hey, the Cowboys and the Eagles both fucking suck. You know what I mean? For the Cardinals, like it's not so lucky because Seattle and the 49ers are still in a much better conversation. I don't want to call the Rams out yet, but they just kind of seem like they got a lot to overcome.
They do have a lot to overcome, but like the thing is, the Rams kind of just will do that sometimes. Yeah. They will, and you can't count Matt Stafford out ever.
No, I'm pretty sure last season around this time we stuck a fork in them, and then they went on like a playoff push.
Insane run. Puka Nacua became the best wide receiver in the fucking NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. 15, this is where I have Hubbard going against Washington. I mean, he's just been consistently involved. Like it's a role that, he's not a crazy stud, but it's just like, how can Hubbard have this role with just a quarterback switch? Like, that doesn't really make that much sense to me, so it just kind of makes me wonder if, like, the guys in Carolina really wanted to play for Bryce. Like, that's just, like, what doesn't add up because you get the same offensive line, like, the same play caller. So it's just, like, you're handing the ball off. Like, what is going on here? So, like, really head-scratching, but he looks pretty good. As long as Andy Dalton's, throwing above 200, that ground game's kind of been pretty consistent. 14, Jacobs, he's going to get you the odds. He's probably not going to get you a bunch of touchdowns. So, if this is a guy that gets you 1,250 in total scrimmage yards on the season with, like, 6-7 touchdowns, that's still enough for a top 18 back. So,
no Josh Jacobs.
Just because of the touchdown?
Really, I don't see the touchdown. I don't see him catching the ball as much either. And Emmanuel Wilson's like finding himself into like a random role there too.
They just run the ball that much. Like that's what it is.
They do, but I think they're going to be in a situation where they're not this week.
Well, I mean, we think differently. So
we do, and we'll see. We'll see. Oh, let me just think about what I want in that parlay.
Yeah, right. All right, buddy. Kid wins 1 week if it gets out of act on the podcast.
I know, literally.
13, I have B-Rob going against Carolina. If B-Rob doesn't play, I feel just as good about Eckler dominating in this one. But realistically, like I feel like B-Rob was pretty close to play. They might be like, hey, this is Carolina, just take it easy. But also, if he plays going against Carolina, like that's 2 touchdowns, easy money. 12, this is Kareem Hunt versus San Francisco. Look, they're going to be consistent with the ground game. They're going to believe in it. They're going to ride Hunt until the wheels fall off. They might, but but no, I really like Hunt going against San Francisco. And 11, Pollard going against Buffalo. He looked really good as the sole back this week with Spears being hurt. Got in the end zone, had the yards like that again versus Buffalo, who we just saw got sliced and diced by the Jets ground game.
Yeah. See, we have a ton of really similar ones here, honestly. 20, we obviously had Chase Brown together. I have Tony Pollard at 19, so lower than where you had him. 18, I have James Cook as well, the James Cook-Ray Davis combo. 17, Jordan Mason. Just think it's... if he plays...
Chiefs defense will still play him tough.
They will play him tough. Like, I think they really want to get him involved. I think they're just a much better team when they try and run it. And if it's not him, whoever they put in there, like they do find success at the running back position. 16, exactly where you had James Conner. I have James Conner. Same thing with Chuba Hubbard. This guy is just playing so much better this year. 14, Aaron Jones.
Wow, that's low.
It is low. But I will say, I do think Detroit takes this game, and I think Detroit shuts down the run very, very well. Better than most teams in the league. I think they're going to bottle up Aaron Jones and know it's like, hey, we're going to do our best on Jettas. 13, I got Bucky Irving. Don't think it's an easy game.
No Bucky.
But I think he is so active in this offense that I think that he has the chance to break one this week, especially with I do think the Ravens and Bucks are going to shoot out.
I just don't think they're going to be successful on the ground. So
you don't think so? I mean, they might not. Like, the Ravens are really good on the ground, but they might go into this week knowing, listen, the Buccaneers are really good through the air. Let's focus a little bit on the air, and it might open up that ground game a little bit.
That's true.
They might pass to set up that run. 12, I got Montgomery. I think he's going to have a good game this week. Maybe it's low, but like David Montgomery is just an effective RB2 option any single time you want to play him.
I mean, I'd say he's better than most RB1s. Like you drafted ETN as an RB1, you drafted Breece Hall as an RB1, and like Monty's playing better than both those
Monty's
guys.
Playing tremendous football, has such a good place in that offense, and Ben Johnson fucking cooked this week. And 11, the longer I look at it, the lower it is. I think that this guy, I put him at 11, but there is top 5 potential for Joe Mixon this week.
Oh God, yeah, there is. Like, you really disrespected him there, buddy. That's a Kev ranking right there.
That was ugly. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Are you trying to switch it?
Yeah, why don't we put him where I had Kamara, and if Kamara doesn't play, get 11.
Then you don't feel as bad.
Yeah, I don't feel like a dick.
See, like this is what's going on.
Joe Mixon at 6. And I said that just like Kevin did.
Yeah, no, you did. Absolutely did. I know. I missed that. 10 here. This is where I have Jones. So, like, not too far off where you have him, honestly, but I do just kind of think, like, they're going to score, if the Vikings going to score touchdowns, it's going to be through the air. So I think Addison could catch one this week. Mm-hmm. Not a guy that's in the rankings, but a guy that could produce. But I think, if they're in the 10, they're going to give him a couple opportunities to try and poke away in there. And, they might run it right to Hutch's side with him not being there, if you want me to be honest.
Yeah.
9, Kenneth Walker. I didn't feel great about this because I kind of feel like Atlanta's defense is somewhat solid, but I do think Seattle handles business, and I think like maybe he takes a screen pass because the past couple weeks we haven't seen, the effectiveness that we really expect from Kenneth Walker. And I know that there were a couple of tough matchups in the Giants and the 49ers. I feel like this is still just a defense in that very similar type of conversation as those guys. 8 is where I have Gibbs. I think Gibbs is due for a touchdown. Out of all the 50 points that they scored, he didn't have a single So, this week, both him and Monty are going to score. I mean, it would suck for Monty's touchdown streak to not continue, but I also feel like the Lions don't put Gibbs in the game until they get Monty like a touchdown like that.
I know.
They really beat that team up and hold that time of possession, their early drives of the game, and it's really smart. And then it's just like, hey, when you're trying to like play that ground game, Gibbs is too quick, So I know we kind of thought opposite about that last year, but I kind of feel like this year it all kind of regulated itself out with those two guys.
Yep.
But 8 is Gibbs and 7 is Monty. So I do think that Minnesota's defense is going to play the ground game pretty well because, I mean, we haven't seen a team make the Lions one-dimensional and just beat them through the air. The Lions haven't had to win a game just by passing the ball to Amon-Ra 10 times this season. And that's a good thing because their offense is efficient, effective, and successful. But it's still also good to get like that reminder. But it's just like, hey, if Jameson's catching the ball 4 or 5 times, well, that's the difference of Amon-Ra having 7 catches or 12 catches. And like that's the difference in the offense. And we talked about it growing and evolving. 6 is where I have Joe Mixon. You absolutely disrespected him, but I'm happy that you corrected yourself there. Look, I think Joe Mixon in the red zone like is going to be absolutely effective. And it's just like, bro, if you're going to have. Obviously, Nico Collins is on the IR for at least like the next 3 weeks or until after their bye week and things like that. But if you're going to play man coverage on Nico, Diggs, and Dell, like one of those guys is going to beat those man coverage. So you put 2 safeties back there and somebody covers Schultz. I mean, Mixon's going to eat up that box all day. Like people really disrespected him. Like this was such a good fit, and we talked about that all through the offseason. Not,
Go on. I know. Sorry, I have a fucking mind of a child. I know.
fucking Twan hates Joe Mixon.
No, she said eat up that box.
Yeah.
Fucking killing me.
5 is J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to score again. If Gus Edwards is going to continue to be out, it's all that more that he's going to play better. I know Vidal caught a nice wheel route up the sidelines and things like that, but this is still this is J.K.'s offense. Like I don't even think it's Herbert's offense because he just looks like a game manager there, if you want me to be honest with you. 4 is where I have Bijan going against Seattle. He's going to get the 90 yards, but he's probably not going to get in the end zone versus a team like this. 3 is where I have D-Hen. So obviously, like, he's not 1, but I mean, Tampa Bay's rush defense is pretty good. So, I mean, the lowest I could put him is 3, but like that's a drop off from where he should be. 2 is Kyron because I think like he's going to get in the end zone, and 1 is Saquon. I think he's going to get in the end zone. All 3 of those guys at the top 3 likely could score, and that could be a touchdown parlay for the week and win you some money. I mean, I think that those 3 guys are almost guaranteed to get in there.
We're pretty similar, dude. We got some pretty similar ones here. I have
Except
JT at 10 because I know. Well, no, don't worry. We're exactly correct now.
Yeah.
It's all good now. It's all good. I put Jonathan Taylor at 10 because after the game on Sunday, he did talk about how he's, hey, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Thought it was pretty encouraging, so I put him here at 10. If Jonathan Taylor doesn't play, I'm not putting Goodson here, but I think Goodson's the guy over Sermon.
Yeah, I didn't put Taylor in just because I don't think he's going to be healthy.
We'll see how it goes. I have Breece here at 9. Again, he's getting the yards. Like, he is getting the yards. He's getting the touches. Like, so, and I think he could do it again this week. So I'm going to put him here at 9. Again, Breece Hall is one of those guys that, like, he used to be a top 5, write it in and lock it in, but I got him here down to 9. I just not as encouraged. I kind of agree with you. Now, if this guy plays, I told you it was Bijan 2 touchdowns last week. This guy gets 2 touchdowns this week if he plays, and I agree. It's Brian Robinson here at 8. 7 is where I have Jahmyr Gibbs. They're going to get him in the end zone. I do think Monty can get in the end zone. I think Gibbs is in for 120 scrimmage yards. Yeah. I think he's going to have a big game this week. He's going to move that ball. 6, Joe Mixon. I mean, he's just a monster right now. 5, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker's a fucking beast, dude. I think that you can run the ball pretty... Again, Atlanta has a good run defense so far this season. It's okay. But I do think Kenneth Walker is better than most of the running backs they've played so far. And I think he's in for a good week. And I think he might have a couple of catches. I'm encouraged because I never looked at him as a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Last week against San Fran, he made a couple of good plays in the passing game.
Yeah.
4, I got Derrick Henry. I agree with you. Vita Vea is a real problem for running backs. But Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. You can't leave him outside the top 5. I got him here at 4. 3, got Bijan Robinson. You can move the ball with the running back against the Seattle Seahawks, and I think that's what they'll do here. Only thing that keeps them from being higher is the fact that Tyler Algier will have 10 carries for 63 yards. It's just a lock. 2, I got Saquon because I'm trying to take Carey over here, man. I don't want him to hurt you too bad. And then at 1, I got Kyron Williams. This is the guy, 2 touchdowns, take the bet.
Those guys.
Two touchdowns this week, take the bet.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams.
I mean, that's a good one. Him and Saquon, 2 touchdowns. Oof.
That's money.
Oof. Absolutely.
Right there.
All right, wide receivers. So the trade news happened when I was making my rankings, so I was aware of Amari Cooper after I had just finished up the wide receivers. But Amari Cooper is not going to be in my rankings this week. Christian Kirk is going to be my 20, just because I think there's no Brian Thomas in here. I think he's going to be the guy getting the 10 targets this week. I think the Patriots, especially like with Pep is missing some time, I think that the slot is where to beat them up, and that's both where Kirk and Ingram are going to be lining up. Exactly. So I think that's going to be, a matchup kind of thing to look out for there. 19 is where I have JSN. I think he's going to have a bunch of yards, and I feel like his catches are always so crucial to them, like winning the game. Like him and Lockett's involvement, like it's not 110 yards every single game, but those passes that don't go to DK that like help break up the field, they're so crucial to that offense being so efficient. So definitely think like he has at least a 5-catch game versus Atlanta. 18, I have Mooney. I think Mooney is a guy that's definitely in line for a big day this week. I'm taking the over 3.5. I think he gets in the end zone. I personally think Drake London has a little bit more of a problem. I'm assuming that Woolen's coming back healthy, so that's why like I feel better about Mooney. But I mean, London's still cracking like the top of the rankings, but just think like Mooney could have a little bit more of that involvement there. It's just tough too because his last game, not versus the Panthers, but the week prior, I mean, he had 31, so like he can be involved, but at the same time, it's like, hey, like you just had that 2 weeks ago. Is he going to have like another 20 bomb like as a wide receiver too? Like, I mean, Kirk can do it. We've seen that with Thielen and Diggs, so definitely a line I'm going to be watching over. 17, Dobbs. I love Dobbs this week. Like I said, I think points are going to be scored. And if there's touchdowns, it's Dobbs, Reed, Kraft, or Jacobs. And we know it's likely not going to Jacobs. So those 3 guys are always going to be involved. And Jordan Love throws a shit ton of passing touchdowns. So that's a line I'm going to be hammering. 16 is where I have Ayuk. I think he's going to be able to move the field and the sticks for the 49ers going against Kansas City. Debo plays the good games in the division. I think Ayuk is the more polished, like just wide receiver. I think Debo's the better football player, but I think like there's a couple of different ways of like looking at it. And I mean, it's tough because Debo gets the extra touches coming out of the backfield and stuff. But I think Kansas City's really going to make sure like he's neutralized. Like I think he's the weapon you kind of have to neutralize if you want me to be honest. 15, Tank Dell going against Green Bay. I think Tank is going to be, heavily involved with receptions and yards as long as Nico Collins isn't here. Stephon Diggs is definitely going to have a good game higher in the rankings, but if Jair Alexander is healthy, I just don't think that the second wide receiver on Green Bay is going to be able to travel with Tank Dell. I really don't. He's shifty. He's quick. He's a good route runner. He helps create a lot of separation there. 14 is where I have Zay. I think you can beat Tampa Bay in the air, and they're dealing with some injuries in the secondary. Obviously have great safety play there, but Zay Flowers has been eating up the middle of the field, and I mean, he's been catching a shit ton of balls too. 13, Deontay Johnson going against Washington. I mean, he's so consistent since Andy Dalton's been in the lineup, so I just kind of feel like I don't want to say a top 15 receiver, but definitely a top 20 with the volume that he's getting. 12 is Jaden Reed. I am a little bit questionable because this is 2 weeks in a row that we're seeing that tag, and after his early touchdown, like the production did kind of slow down, so I mean, it was very encouraging that he didn't come out of the game like altogether, but still something that you want to be wary about as a Reed owner. And 11, this is where I have London, so I think it's a little bit lower than where you're going to have him. I'm sure he's going to be right around that top 5. No, I have
similar spot struggling this week.
Yeah, but I just think that his mold. If Witherspoon is covering him, like I think Witherspoon can carry with him a little bit better than like Mooney. I think Mooney would be way too quick for a guy like that. But if you're able to have Witherspoon play physical with Mooney and Woolen's able to match up on the outside with London, then I think that's a different game script altogether. And I think that's when Ray McLeod could be more involved.
Yeah, for sure. Those are definitely good lines to look at. Like we talked about, man, I really think that some of those top wide receiver weapons are going to struggle a little bit this week.
Yeah.
It's just a good secondary in Seattle they have to play. Kicking it off at 20, I get Jameson Williams. I think he's going to end up getting a big catch this week, a 50-yarder downfield that really helps rejuvenize the Detroit Lions offense. So I think Jameson Williams is going to have a good week here. At 19, I'm right there with you. It's JSN. I think JSN is going to have a couple good catches, and he's a super talented guy, and they're getting him more and more involved every week. 18, welcome to the rankings, Ladd McConkey.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like the matchup this week.
Debut.
Yep, so debut for Ladd McConkey. I'm going to give you a stat line, too. We're going to go 6 catches, 83 yards, and a score. So could be higher than what 18 produces, but I'm going to put him here at 18, be a little safer.
First, the Cardinals, that's the defense to do, and Quentin Johnson's questionable.
Exactly. So I think Ladd's overall the better receiver, too. They're going to work him a little bit more. Yeah. 17, Drake London.
Oh, wow.
So, again, I got him low. Stat line, 5 catches, 55 yards. Yeah. Maybe a score, maybe not. I have him in the rankings because it's Drake fucking London. It's crazy to not have him in here knowing what this guy can do. But I think it's going to be struggling, man. It is a tough matchup. 16. The one San Francisco 49er I have in here for a receiver is Deebo Samuel. Steve, totally understand. In terms of the McDuffie treatment, I think McDuffie is going to cover Ayuk. Like we talked about earlier in the episode, I think Ayuk's going to be the one going downfield. I think McDuffie's going to play more of that. They're going to have someone that's, not that McDuffie isn't a sure tackler, but they're going to be looking at the sure tacklers to stop Deebo behind the line. I think Deebo's going to get a lot of catches behind the line and try and do stuff this week. So I think they're going to have bigger guys trying to tackle him behind there. 15, I got Josh Downs. Bro, this dude every week is putting up 20. He's getting a touchdown. This guy's balling. Josh Downs here at 15. He's playing incredible football. He is their receiver 2 behind Michael Pittman, but the volume he's getting, it looks like he's a receiver 1, even though Pittman we know is the best guy on that team. 14.
It's crazy that Pittman can play and can say hey, the IR is still a possible stint. So it's like a really bad back injury.
Yeah, seriously. So it's another reason I like Josh Downs. I don't think they're going to force things to Pittman too much. 14, Stephon Diggs. This guy's playing great football this year.
Yeah.
Actively involved.
That's a little low.
Oh, you got just a little low. Okay. Interesting. So Stephon Diggs here, 14, super talented. 13, I got Davantae Smith. This guy's a good player. He's going to have a good week.
Consistent, bro.
He is consistent. Even though they may not win this game, they may not. We'll see. I'm iffy on it. I still think Davantae Smith's going to have a good one. 12, Jaden Reed, right where you had him. I mean, this guy, even hurt, he's putting up 14 points, so it's hard to leave him out. And 11, I got Zay Flowers.
Hey, it's kind of crazy that I left Devonta Smith off the rankings this week, honestly. He's definitely a guy that deserves to be in here. But I'm not going to do no swaps or anything like that. But I do have AJ in here, and I do just kind of think, we saw the Giants play really good against 2 wide receivers. So it's not like it can't happen again. I mean, would it surprise you in a division game where the Eagles have been winning games scoring 15 points if Saquon Barkley was the only guy to get in the end zone? Probably not.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, not at all. At 10 here, this is where I have DK going against Atlanta. I think he gets in the end zone this week. I don't know if he has the crazy 150-yard game or anything like that, but I think it's 70 and a touchdown with 5 or 6 catches. I feel even though he doesn't have the episodes that he used to on the sidelines, you definitely saw that he was very visibly frustrated. And I do kind of feel that there's usually good performances that follow that because they try and, I don't want to say try and cater to him, but they know his impact on the game. When they play well, he plays well. So that's something that you want to scheme up for sure. How crazy is it the Bears offensive coordinator the first 4 weeks wasn't scheming up the first 15 plays of the game through practice, bro? That's absolutely wild for a rookie quarterback to go in there and have those meetings.
They'll never. I know they're coming off a big win. They'll never figure it out, man.
Not with that guy at the OC.
They will never
Definitely
figure
not.
it out as an organization.
9, Stephon Diggs going against Green Bay. Look, I think I said, I don't need to repeat myself. There's gonna be a lot of points. Stephon Diggs has been playing really well. He looked like a lot bigger bigger as a wide receiver when like he wasn't standing next to like the guys that he typically does now. Now him and Tank Dell look so tiny next to like Nico
Yeah,
Collins.
they literally
like, it's actually crazy.
Nico's a huge guy,
bro.
dude.
He's like, big dude. Yeah. 8, this is where I have Godwin going against Baltimore. Like I said, I don't think he's going to have a crazy amount of catches or like anything like that. I think he can get some yards, get some first downs. That'll be huge for them, but it's not a 7-catch game for Chris Godwin, in my opinion. I don't think if Baker's throwing the ball 50 times this game, it's because they're playing from behind. So that's something to keep in mind. I do know that the Ravens try and control the clock to play that complementary football. At 7, right above him, Mike Evans. I do think Mike gets in the end zone this week. Usually, Matt goes crazy about the Mike Evans touchdowns. Yeah. I told him last week it wasn't going to happen. Usually he gets right the following week. And I had Godwin having the big week last week. He was high in the rankings. So 6, this is where I have Terry McLaurin going against Carolina. Huge week, and that's an easy matchup. 5 is where I have Neighbors going against Philly. I just think if everyone's going to want to see Saquon have a day, I think the Giants are going to want to display why they felt perfectly comfortable with going in a different direction and having Neighbors be a very productive option and a shiny new weapon, especially after 2 weeks of not playing. The concussion protocol is crazy. Josh Allen can go back in that game, no questions asked. This dude was allowed to go to the Travis Scott concert at MetLife Stadium, but wasn't alled to play this week. I really don't understand the protocol by any means.
Crooked.
Yeah, right. 4 is where I have Chase going against Cleveland. I mean, I for what Chase has done this year, I mean, he had 10 points last week, and the sky is falling because he didn't put up 30. I did mention that I think that the Browns are going to play well, but I still just think Chase is matchup proof. 2 is where I have AJ. I think he's going to get 100, and 1 is where I have JJ. I think JJ is going to ball this week versus the Lions. They don't have a corner that can cover him.
They don't. Absolutely not. And as much as I love Brian Branch, a safety's not covering him. So. No. 10, I got Mike Evans. We're going to funky town in the top 10 right now. I'm telling you. There's going to be a couple in here that there are going to be some fun ones up here.
Okay.
Mike Evans, 10. I think he can get a touchdown too. I don't know if the yardage is going to be he's either going to have the average Mike Evans game where it's, 5 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown, maybe 100 yards, a touchdown, or he's going to have 12 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Like, that's how this goes for Mike Evans. Yeah. He's not going to have a bad game, period. He's in the top 10. 9, DK Metcalf, exactly where I see you having him. Very, very similar stat line. 8, Terry McLaurin. We're on the same page. He's very comfortable with Jaden Daniels right now. Things look happy and good in Washington, even though they're coming off a loss. They still held it to 1 score against the Ravens. That's very impressive.
Absolutely.
7, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Think he's going to have a good week. Think he's going to get involved. I think they're going to force him a lot too.
Did I skip Amon-Ra in my rankings? I think I did.
Is that 2 weeks in a row you just skipped him?
I am sorry. I apologize. I did miss Amon-Ra, but since you just mentioned him, I'm going to add in Amon-Ra was my 3 on the rankings.
Terrific. Amon-Ra's here at my 7. Think he gets involved. 6, this is where it's going to get funky town. I get Deontay Johnson at 6.
Woo! Okay, funky town.
I think he is playing very good football. He is getting touchdowns. He's getting receptions. He's cooking people. Like, he's playing really well.
He's balling.
Really, really good football. And Andy Dalton feels comfortable throwing to him. They got a matchup that they can throw against this week in Washington. I think he's going to have a good week. 5, Jamar Chase. He's a top 5 guy. He's always going to be a top 5 guy. I understand that it's Denzel Ward covering him, but it's not it's this new Denzel Ward that is apparently literally shit at football.
Yeah. He's literally a Brown.
Literally a Brown. 4, Justin Jefferson. Low compared to where you had him at 1, but I told you things are going to get a little funky. I got AJ at 3. I got Malik at 2. And another disagreement that we're going to have here is Chris Godwin's at 1.
Whoa.
I think Chris Godwin's going to fucking
Anthony,
ball.
You hear this guy?
I think he's going to ball. I think he's going to ball. Who is going to cover him? They're not going to cover. Nate Wiggins? Yeah, right, buddy.
I actually don't think Nate Wiggins is doing like the worst job.
He's not doing the worst, but he had a big penalty at that point that game. There are the little things where, like, when you're going up against Chris Godwin, you're going to get burnt as compared to when you're going up against Noah Brown.
I mean, 2 vets like that? No, like absolutely. And like I know like they have Humphrey, but like their depth in the secondary is definitely something that like they need to work on. I think like they will turn Wiggins into like a solid like quality starter there. But
Totally agree.
that's definitely a team that like that's been a position I don't want to say like of need because like when they had like they did have more depth there like a couple of years ago, like when they were making different runs. But for the way that they're built now, knowing that they're so run heavy and teams are going to be passing on them, they need to have like 3 or 4 guys.
They do. And they have Kyle Hamilton. It's a good start by getting Nate Wiggins. It's just, let's keep it going. Like, we'll just play better and better every week. See if there are a couple other like bets that I think we wanted to talk about too, right?
I got some games that I want to talk about. I definitely think the Ravens are going to win like versus the NFC. Sadly, I think the Eagles, Seattle, Browns, Green Bay, Washington. You guys kind of heard me say that all throughout the episode. I know you have some bets that you want to talk about, and I have some important news for the Sandbox folks.
Oh, terrific. So Lions money line. Love that one. I like them to beat the Vikings this week, and I believe they are underdogs too. So I like taking them dog line. Colts minus 3.5. I think they win, and I think they win pretty damn easily this week. And then Commanders minus 7.5. Listen, we've talked about it. Minus 3.5 is a bet I like to take. Justin Gerard, this is for you because we talked about this our entire ride to Penn State. Minus 3.5 is a line where Vegas wants you to take plus 3.5 because they want you to say, well, if it's just by a field goal, 3.5 is going to cover.
Yeah.
You always take the minus 3.5. You always take the minus 7.5.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers. Commanders 7.5. Colts minus 3.5. Those are the two best spreads I like this week.
Okay. I'll give you guys a couple more props and yardage and things like that as we get later on through the week. But do want to share that Chef Anthony Pino and Kev will be coming in on Saturday. We'll be talking our first basketball episode of the season. The NBA starting October 22nd, so that's exciting.
Back to back?
What? Yeah.
Back to back.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I saw that parlay you put in on DraftKings.
Yeah, you like that?
I saw that.
Why did you tell me?
I like that. I just... Because I like to be a little crazier.
Okay. Hey, I feel that. If I can win those thousands, that'd be enough for me. Week 8 is next week, so that means the new episode of Power Rankings is going to be coming out real soon. Thanksgiving, obviously, around the corner, so that means our Thanksgiving trivia is going to be happening this year. Didn't happen last year. We're going to set up some guests and some dates to make sure that that's all possible. Honest predictions and playoff predictions coming real soon, Twan. It's week 7, bro.
It's week 7.
The next 5-6 weeks are cooking, and week 14 is the fantasy playoffs.
I feel like I'm aging as we're doing this podcast.
But I know. No, you're right. You're right. But in other exciting news, though, the can drive and the toy drive, we're starting those conversations. Obviously, getting prepared for our big Black Friday drop. And we still have our pink born and raised in ECTs. We sold out of all of our mediums. We have smalls, larges, extra larges, and a couple of double XLs left. So if you want to rep the pink for the month of October, we got those. We'll make sure you're rocking out in style. Twan, anything that you want to add in here before we wrap up the episode? There we go. I love that.
Don't pay attention to the jiggle.
Stop it.
We're working on it. We're back in the gym. All right, the ankle's healed up. Steve, we've been red fucking hot. And lesser men would take this opportunity to quit or become losers. Nah, dude, we're going right through it. We're going to keep it strong. Follow our picks. We're absolutely balling right now. 13-1, 11-3. If you want just money line picks, go to our Instagram page and just pick who we put a W next to.
Give the update one more time.
The total score.
Update.
So the total, I'm pulling it up right now because I texted it to you. I did jump right back in the lead.
Buddy, one game. Chill out.
Dude, I'm like that. All right, Steve, 50-40, 11-3 last week. I am 51-39, went 13-1 last week.
Real close.
Jumped in by one spot. Anything can happen. A lot of football to go.
Let's go, man.
But hey,
let's win some money. Let's have some fun.
Let's win some money. I think this week maybe we give a little sandbox parlay for the fans to tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think about that?
It depends on how I do Thursday. If I do good Thursday, then I'll give you one Sunday.
Okay. All right.
We got to see if we're derailing or if we're going strong still. So.
I'm gonna do one, and I might do like a 6-leg, a bunch of alternates, but I know it's fucking hitting.
All right.
Because we hit these.
All right, let's go. Since the Sandbox fans, that's gonna wrap things up for the Week 7 fantasy football rankings. Another great one in the books as the season continues. Make sure you guys listen to the rankings. We're giving you guys the picks, the money lines. You guys know the deal. Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less.